Bullseye. Bullseye is brought to you by the Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Smooth, refreshing Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. 76 brand gasoline. If you depend on your car to perform, depend on 76 gasolines to keep it a performance car. Wendy's, where better food makes it a better value. Ameritech, your link to better communication. And by your local Chicagoland and Northern Indiana GMC truck dealers.
From the United Center in Chicago, Illinois, it's Bulls basketball tonight as they wrap up the pre-Christmas portion of their schedule and hope to do it with another victory as they take on the Utah Jazz. Good evening, everybody. Dan Roan on the west side. Nice to have you with us for the Bullseye here on WGN as we bring you another evening of Bulls basketball here on Channel 9. Happy holidays to you and yours. And tonight, the Bulls try to spin a little more holiday magic when they go after their 13th consecutive victory. They're almost as automatic as the guy in the red suit showing up on Christmas Day. Victory number 12 came last night right here in this same building against the Toronto Raptors. Bulls fans on the GMC Truck Highlights looking for an oxygenated holiday. They got it with Scottie Pippen. Some air under that one. The NBA Player of the Week. He might win it again this week. Scottie with the early three-point barrage, and that wasn't all. From Michael, the hook jam as Pippen propelled the Bulls to a 31-point first quarter last night. Scottie had 19 in the opening period, and the Bulls never lost control of the game after that. Raptors did make a move, though. Zan Tabak. Where'd Isaiah dig this guy up? 24 last night for the ex-Houston bench warmer. And Damon Stoudemire, tough for Michael Jordan to handle out front. His jump shot cut the lead to 4 in the third quarter. But the Bulls took off from there. Steve Kerr, red hot from outside as the Bulls put 3 in double figures off the bench last night. Kerr had 16, Bill Wennington had 16, and Kukoc 11 as the Bulls get another victory. 113 to 104. Dennis Rodman almost bored by the whole thing. And after 24 games, this is the Bulls record, the second best in NBA history. Only the Knicks in 69-70 had a better record, and the Bulls will try to add to that tonight with a victory over the Utah Jazz. Of course, the coaches are always concerned not with streaks, but with the game that's coming up next. And for Phil Jackson, of course, that's the Utah Jazz tonight. Right now, down to courtside with Wayne Larrivee, who's got Phil Jackson.
Well, thanks very much, Dan Roan. Good to have alongside head coach Phil Jackson. And Phil's second game of a back-to-back, but your over 30 gang is 7-0 in the second of a back-to-back, and that's not supposed to happen that way, is it?
You're right. The back-to-back sequence is always much better when you're playing at home and you can stay in your bed and eat your own food and do those things that you need to do to get rest. But we've done very well even when we've had to travel in back-to-backs, and I think that's very important to a basketball club. They have confidence and believing in themselves that, hey, we're strong enough. We're going to come out here and do it.
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen each played 40 minutes last night of the ball game against Toronto. I know that's farther than you wanted to use them, but you had to get the win. You concerned about that tonight?
Not at all. They weren't hard minutes for Michael or Scottie. I think they tired a little bit, but they weren't those kind of minutes that were really hard. What we like to do in a day when we play back-to-backs is we like to get a practice like this morning where most of it's videotape, most of it's visual. Then we come out in the court, we do a little shooting to loosen up a stretch and shoot some foul shots, maybe walk through what the opponent's going to do, and then everybody's out of there.
Let's talk about Dennis Rodman. He got 28 minutes last night. Were you trying to save him a little bit? Was it the calf injury, or what happened there?
Well, the reality of the situation is that in the second half, they just ran Pinckney off Dennis and went over and double-teamed Michael or Scottie. Indiscriminately, they just left Dennis on the defensive end, and offensively, he wasn't picking it up. He really didn't want to score, let a few balls go through his hands, so I said, well, let's just put Tony at 4. He'll make him pay in the fourth quarter, and he did.
Well, I'll tell you, Tony Kukoc has played exceptionally well. Last 3 weeks, Phil, he seems to have taken command of that second unit.
Well, he's starting to play with aggressiveness offensively, we like to see. You know, defensively, Tony can do some things, nabbing the ball and doing some things on the defensive end that are ball hawking. But the offensive end, if he can create for us, not only offensively with scores but passes, we're in real good shape.
Your bench minutes. I mean, Kerr had a big game last night. Wennington a big game last night. Judd Buechler has had big games this season, but the minutes seem to fluctuate. When you get down into your bench, 8, 9, 10 deep into your bench, are you looking there strictly at matchups and who matches up with whom on a given night?
That's a good question, Wayne, because A lot of times I don't know. I'll say, I really want to play Randy Brown. I need to get him playing well on the floor. I got to get Jason Caffey back involved in it because he missed 7 games. And Dickie Simpkins has played well, so I want to find a moment or two for all those kids. But on the home court, bench is really what's important. This is where the bench gives you a bigger lift than they do on the road, simply by the fact of the friendly confines that you have. And so we really need a bench to play well tonight.
Well, Phil, good luck, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and your family.
Thanks, Wayne.
All right, Phil Jackson, head coach of the Bulls. Stay tuned. We'll have more Bullseye coming up after these messages.
All right, people, Blockbuster Video's got thousands of videos and holiday gifts for sale. Great gifts, many for under $10, and even exclusive gift sets. What do we got?
Warehouse is full of these.
This year, give them entertainment and make it a blockbuster holiday.
Yeah.
Open up, darling. Your hunk of burning love is here.
The champagne's not Corbel.
Well, he's one that's going to be missing out, I tell you. I'm a burning love and caviar and pains, not Corbel. Well, so what?
Corbel, for people who know champagne.
Silver bells. Silver bells. Silver bells. Silver bells.
Look what's popping up at Burger King. Toy Story puppets from Disney's latest adventure movie, now in theaters. Get all 4 high-quality puppets for your kids. $1.99 each with any great-tasting value meal.
Bring a wing. Hear them sing. Soon it will be Christmas Day.
The problem with gifts is that people return them. So why not give them a gift you want them to return? Blockbuster gift certificates, good at our video and music stores for what they really wanted in the first place. Give them entertainment.
Right here, right now, this is where you want to be.
Everything's new at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Even new ways to save. The 96 Buyer's Choice Drive-Away. It's your choice.
Doubleheader here at the United Center. Earlier this afternoon, Illinois knocked out California in a college game, 83-69. The Illini 9-0 this year, and Joey Meyer's DePaul team knocked off Indiana in Bloomington today, 86-84. So a couple of good games for the Illinois schools this afternoon in college basketball. Also in the NFL, San Diego a winner, Detroit a winner, and both those teams headed for the playoffs. But right now we're more concerned with the Utah Jazz. And you know, you always know what you're going to get from these guys, and it's always good. It's just that it's not been good enough for the most part.
This is Stockton. Feeds Malone for the jam. Malone right back to Stockton down low on Armstrong.
Malone, Stockton, Stockton, Malone. A pair for the hoop ages, the signature of the Utah franchise. They should just combine their names and make it easier on everybody, except the best combo's already taken. Karl Malone's got some Rambo in him. He's been a renegade his whole career, does his own contracts, quick to criticize opponents and sometimes teammates, but he can walk the walk. One of the steadiest and most productive players in the history of the game. And John Stockton gets him the shots, the all-time NBA assist leader in his 12th year. He makes passes that 99% of NBA players wouldn't even think of. Future Hall of Famers doing it for over a decade, but without that championship reward. The best the Jazz have done is reach the Western Conference Finals, and time is running out. They're off to a good start this year, though the Bulls whipped them a month ago in Salt Lake. Stockton had a terrific game head-to-head with Michael Jordan, 23 points, 9 of 13 from the floor, and even had 7 rebounds. But he couldn't stop Michael, and the rest of the Jazz were awful. They shot only 34%. The Bulls trudged off with a 90-85 win. Jordan had 34 and Scottie Pippen 22. While Stockton and Malone are all-stars every year, their teammates in most seasons have been anything but. Jeff Hornacek's along now, and he definitely knows how to play. And David Benoit is learning. But perennial NBA head case Chris Morris and the rest, Utah's ring sizes will remain a mystery. Jerry Sloan's club is headed home for the holidays. Tonight is the last stop on a 6-game cross-country tour. It was tough on either end. The Jazz opened in Orlando, caught the Magic in Shaq's comeback game. And tonight, they get the hottest team in basketball. But in between, Utah's done just fine.
Stockton from deep for the win. Got it at the buzzer.
Well, Johnny Kerr, these guys have always been a good team, but never enough to get over the top or even to the NBA Finals. Even with Stockton and Malone in there, they've gone through a couple of ownership groups. Why wouldn't a team like that go out and get these two All-Stars some help and get them a championship?
Well, you certainly would think so. They've not been able to build through the draft. They've always ended up very high. I believe Jerry Sloan's teams have been 7 times over the 50-plus mark, Dan. 2 times in the last 4 years in the conference finals, but they never seem to get over the hump, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe this team tonight that we look at is going to be a team like I feel the New York Knicks are. Maybe they're having their last hurrah. They've got to make it now. They went out and they got Jeff Hornacek, and he has done a great job for him. Then they went and they got Chris Morris, and I don't know if that's the answer to the puzzle. They've had some injuries, but bench problems seem to be something that hurts them. The 2 kids are always ready, though, Stockton and Malone.
They sure are, and Michael Jordan will have to check John Stockton tonight, only 24 hours after he had to chase Damon Stoudemire all over the floor. He's going to be a tired guy when this one's over with.
Well, he is, but John Stockton has got some quickness, but he's not as fast as Stoudemire. Stoudemire is like a little water beetle up and down the court, so Michael, I think, knows how to play Stockton. He knows the ball is going to go from Stockton to Malone, and on the other end, they'll have to watch out and try to guard Michael.
Okay, John, thanks very much. Happy holidays to you, and we'll talk to you at 7:30 when you and Wayne get here for the basketball game itself. You know, there's one more shopping day until Christmas. If you're not finished yet, you're in a little bit of trouble, and it's always tough, isn't it, to find that certain gift for the guy who has everything. Well, tonight, we hit the shopping trail with Randy Salerno. I think he's looking for a clue.
Ah, the holidays. If there was ever a bunch of guys equipped to play Santa, it's these high-salaried NBA stars. But when pressured for gift ideas for teammates, some of them came up a bit short.
You know, I really don't know.
I'd have to think about it.
Razor, a new Ferrari.
No, I don't think he needs one of those dancing lessons.
I give him a pair of my shoes after the game.
That gift won't work.
What do you get a man with everything, you know?
You know, Michael literally is the guy who has everything, especially when it comes to vehicles. But not this vehicle. That's right. We've got Michael, the most unique vehicle on the road. His very own Bozo van. If he wants it.
I look like Bozo?
I think his wife will enjoy driving it.
Hey, Michael, you want us to just bring it by the house? These guys didn't get to the NBA by being creative gift givers, so we've come to Marshall Fields here in Northbrook Court, perhaps... no thanks. Perhaps to, no, we're okay, fine, thanks. Perhaps to give them an assist. CK? Little CK? Looks like we have some help. Fancy running into Bill Wennington at the mall, but we needed some help, so we let him tag along. Bill? Bill! And Christmas is 2 days away. I know it's a big store, but how do you lose a 7-foot center? We've got to get Dennis something. You know, I don't know that you can go wrong with a see-through teddy like this. He likes that sort of thing, doesn't he?
He does, you know, but I think I saw him with one of these on in the Tonight Show.
I think you're right.
He's got one.
We need something unique, absolutely unique. You know, he loves his tattoos, and quite frankly, I get the feeling he may be running out of arm space.
You know, you're right, but he'd enjoy practicing tattooing on that.
Well, Dennis and Michael weren't the only ones we wanted to buy for. We took care of all the starters. Ron Harper, something to ease last year's woes.
You are getting very sleepy. Last year didn't happen. Last year didn't happen.
Thank you very much.
For Luke, what else? A boxing kangaroo.
Wow, what a treat. I mean, you know, a boxing kangaroo, that's just what I've always wanted.
And for Scottie Pippen, a special Christmas message from another famous man from Arkansas.
Merry Christmas, Scottie Pippen.
I just got my gift delivered to the TV truck from Randy. I think I'm going to let the FBI open it, just to be safe. We'll come back with more of the Bullseye right after this.
Cheryl Ladd.
You could say we were out for blood, and we found it.
An icy cold coroner with an eye for detail.
The murders here are copycat killings.
Richard Berge.
I'm good with guns.
A quick-firing hotshot.
I was damn near disassembled, Dave.
He's a wolf in cop's clothing.
Very kinky.
But then she's no angel either.
Do you mind covering up your face?
From the producers of Magnum P.I.
Freeze!
One West, Waikiki.
And no green hair lurking under that Santa Claus hat. Santa, the only player in the building a little more popular than Michael Jordan, and only for a week or so at this time of the year, I think. Welcome back to the Bullseye. You know, last night the Knicks were trying to give the entire NBA a Christmas present. They were trying to snap Orlando's home winning streak, Don Nelson and company were, but it didn't work very well. Tip out here, Penny Hardaway. Between the legs, Nick Anderson. And the Magic having their way against New York last night. John Koncak, you'd think he'd be chained to the bench with Shaq's reemergence, but the outlet pass leads to that. Shaq 28 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 blocks last night as Horace Grant sat the game out. They didn't need him, I'll tell you that much. Magic an easy winner and 14-0 at home. Mavericks and Pacers, Indiana, with Haywood Workman doing his thing here, up and in. Didn't even have to look to get that one to go down. One more peek at this shot as you watch the key play and the Pacers 90-79 victory over the Mavericks. Indiana's played very well. They've won 7 of 9, but even so had not been able to keep pace with the Bulls. And as you look at the Central Division standings tonight, it's Chicago by 8.5 over Indiana, with everybody else pretty much out of it. And as we bring in Terry Armour, the Chicago Tribune sports writer, the beat writer for the Bulls. T, the question is Indiana out of it? 8.5 games behind at this point in the season.
I think you have a situation with the Indiana Pacers where they started off very slowly. They're picking up a lot of steam now. I really think 8.5 games is a lot of games to have to make up against the Bulls the way they're playing right now. But the key is that the Bulls and the Pacers have just a great rivalry. They have for probably the past 3-4 years. And I guess they split the series last year. They always play the Bulls well. They have that big front line that always seems to give the Bulls trouble, which is one of the reasons, of course, they got Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, it really has been a lot of fun to watch these two teams go at each other over the past, well, 3 or 4 years. We've seen Michael Jordan and Reggie Miller go at it, and a whole lot of other things happen in this series. But I guess you have to have the heat of competition, Terry, to make these things go like this. And if they can't keep up with the Bulls, you have to wonder what this rivalry might be like this season. They haven't played a game yet this year.
But, you know, a very, very interesting thing is that Reggie Miller, who a lot of people seem to think that Reggie and Michael don't really get along that well, but I think Reggie Miller was like the first guy that said Michael Jordan was coming back to basketball. So I think he's very happy that Michael's back so they can get into those shootouts again.
And we'll look forward to seeing those two teams play. They play a couple of times shortly after the holidays, so that's something to look forward to. The Bulls bench, another topic we want to touch on tonight. They've been so fantastic. You know, all we heard was Michael and Scotty and then Dennis Rodman coming in, but it's the bench that's really energized this club and really provided the impetus for some of these wins.
One of the things that has happened is Tony Kukoc is probably the biggest deal as far as the resurgence of the bench. Steve Kerr mentioned something yesterday when Tony Kukoc is playing well, everyone else seems to play well. I think out of the last few games, the Bulls bench, they've combined for 50 points against Atlanta, 49 against Dallas. They had 45 against Toronto last night. And Steve Kerr is shooting like 71% from three-point land, probably his last 3 or 4 games. So they're just playing well right now. I think they really are building up some consistency.
Terry, you know that the Bulls were looking to Kukoc to do more early in the season. He'd struggled some. Did the players get on him a little bit and try to kick him in the rear end some to get him started?
Well, Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson used to get on Tony a lot last year. And Scottie Pippen mentioned yesterday that the reason Tony is playing so much better is guys like Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman, everybody on the bench has been telling Tony, you can't play one game and then have 2 bad games. You got to play every game. So I think it has a lot to do with his aggressiveness.
Okay, Terry, have a great holiday. Thanks so much for being with us, and we'll be back with more of the Bullseye right after these messages.
The Penobscot River and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. The Penobscot means hard-charging white water, and Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place. An Old Milwaukee beer.
Came down through that trough and we hit the top of the wave, slammed you down.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
It just doesn't get any better than this.
You got that right.
A friend of mine told me, try America Online. I said, why? I've got a computer. He said, try it. You'll see. It's simple. Every time you sign on, welcome. It tells you if you've got mail. You've got mail. Want to send some email? Type the message, click here, and it's done. I like this. With one click, I can browse all kinds of great features on America Online. I've gotten help with my golf swing, I've planned my next vacation, even get stock price updates every 15 minutes. America Online has over 100 newspapers and magazines, everything from Business Week Online to Cycle World, and I can browse them all. With America Online, you can point and click your way across the internet. And their web browser makes it easy to explore the World Wide Web. Call the toll-free number and you'll receive your free startup kit and 10 free...
One of the all-time Bulls greats, played from 66 to 76, one of the best defensive players ever to put on a uniform in the NBA for any ball club. And of course, he's back in the building tonight as coach of the Utah Jazz. He's down by the Utah Jazz locker room with Bill Weir.
Welcome back to Chicago. Is it a treat to come back to the city?
Looking at this team, it's not a real big treat. But hopefully we'll be able to give them some kind of ball game. I hope our guys will play well. We know that they're very difficult to play in this building and anywhere you play them, actually. But they got a great team, and we'll see how it goes.
Let's talk about you personally, as the 30-year anniversary of the Bulls, as you being one of the first successful teams here. What are your best recollections? We've got some fond memories of your playing days, but talk about what you remember the most.
Oh, I think you have to go back to when we first came here. All of us were trying to look for a job and didn't know how it was going to, whether this franchise is going to stay in here or not, and there was a lot of uncertainty. But probably the most exciting thing is we got off to a great start and made the playoffs our first year, which is something very few exhibition or expansion teams have ever done.
How often do you keep in touch with your old teammates?
Well, I don't get to see them as much. I usually get to see Tom Boerwinkle when I'm here. Norm Van Leer usually stops around, and I get a chance to visit with him. The rest of the guys, I don't get to see quite as often. Obviously, Bobby Weiss, who's in the league, was played with us, but that's just about it.
All right, well, welcome back. Thank you very much. One half of probably the second best guard combination in Chicago. Back to you, Dan.
Second best might be exactly right, Bill. With Norm Van Leer, what a great combo they were back in the 60s and 70s. And nice to have Jerry Sloan back in the house tonight. Well, our next telecast of Bulls basketball here on WGN comes up next week. It's a rematch with the Atlanta Hawks. The Bulls and the Hawks tangled on GN a couple of weeks ago, and it was all Chicago in that one down at the Omni. Atlanta comes to town looking for revenge next Saturday night. You'll see it right here. Bullseye at 7 o'clock. Game time 7:30. Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks right here on WGN. And that'll do it for the pregame show tonight. Thanks so much for watching, and happy holidays, everybody. Enjoy the basketball game coming your way next. The Bulls on WGN. So long.
Bullseye.
Bullseye is brought to you by the Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Smooth, refreshing Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. 76 brand gasoline. If you depend on your car to perform, depend on 76 gasolines to keep it a performance car. Wendy's, where better food makes it a better value. Ameritech, your link to better communication. And by your local Chicagoland and Northern Indiana GMC truck dealers. Guests on Bullseye receive a Zenith Color TV with remote control. At Zenith, the quality goes in before the name goes on. And a handsome piece of jewelry from Henry K. Jewelers, 3rd Level Water Tower Place, Chicago.